Hey, years ago, I sat on a board for a nonprofit organization. And for those of you who know about nonprofits, there's always struggles. It seems like they do so much good, but being in leadership in one of those boards is very tiresome and hard sometimes, but also rewarding. But I remember this guy that was the chairman of the board at that time. His name was Dwayne. And he was an excellent leader. And he would always come to these meetings with these amazing creative ideas, solutions for financial situations, solutions for personnel situations that we came up with. And it got to the point where I would look forward to these board meetings just to see what this guy came up with in his imagination, in his thoughts. And that's why I am so excited today to be talking to you about a principle from the Napoleon Hill Foundation called creative vision. And my name is Dave Scadam. I'm a certified instructor from Bozeman, Montana, USA. And I really look forward to our time together. And I hope that after you listen to this session, that you go away thinking to yourself, you know what? I have got to get plugged into this thing called creative vision because it's dynamic and it's amazing and it is an incredible thing to really master and to, or at least to begin to master. I don't think we ever master this stuff completely, but it's an amazing concept, one of the amazing laws of success. And just a real quick definition of what is creative vision. And it's really, all it is the capacity to envision new possibilities. And just let that soak in for a minute. The capacity to envision new possibilities. Think about that. It's an amazing thing. And so much of our life, or for me, I'm speaking for myself and the people that I know, life gets going so quick and it's so fast and there's so many things to do and there's so many things that are urgent that have to be done. And it's so hard for us just to sit back and spend some time in quiet contemplation. But I've found that that's really where the source of power and the source of fortune and the source of success really stems from. So today, we're going to be talking about several things in regards to synthetic imagination. We're going to be talking about, a creative imagination. One is, we're going to contrast the difference between what Napoleon Hill called synthetic imagination and creative imagination. We're going to dive into that a little bit deeper. We're going to talk about two people that exemplified that, Elon Musk, Steve Jobs. We're going to talk about how creative vision ties into and really depends on the other laws of success. We're going to talk about that a little bit today. Another thing that we're going to talk about is the importance of just making time to be quiet and to listen and to really think about things that are going on in your life. We're also going to get into some paradigm paralysis that you want to avoid, which is going to be kind of exciting to talk about. We're going to be talking about how ideas are the beginnings of fortunes, as I've already mentioned. We're also going to be talking about how the world is crying out for creative vision in people and how you can use that to help in your area of sphere of influence. And so that's what we're going to be talking about is creative vision today. I'm so excited because I've seen the impact that it's had on my life. I'm just thinking about one thing in particular that happened with me in regards to this creative vision. And this one day, I live out in a kind of rural community in Montana. And this one time I had this shop, pretty big shop. And one time I walked out, I opened the door up to this shop, and inside this shop was about 20 years of accumulation and it smelled like an old shop. It was just packed with junk in there, like piled high with junk. And I looked in there and I thought, you know what? This building, this room is pretty much totally useless to me. And I didn't really think about it much more than that at that point. But that night I did go and I did sat down and just kind of thought about my life and pondering and just spending time in quietness. And one of the things that came to my mind was my shop. And I was thinking, and I thought, wow, that is something that I really should work on. It's kind of like a drag in my life, walking in there, and it was kind of like just dirty and junky, and it just really didn't feel good. So what I did was I pulled out a piece of paper, my journal, and I just drew a box the size of the shop, not the actual size, but I drew a box. And I thought to myself, what could I do with that shop that would make that really productive for me? And I'm into men's health. And so I thought to myself, you know what? I should have a place where I can get into and really maybe do some videos on nutrition, maybe do some videos on exercise, do some video on accurate thinking in my spiritual life, and those kinds of things. And I thought, what can I do? So I just drew out a little sketch. And I drew a gym in one portion of the shop with a kitchen in it. And it was like this fantastic dream, just like the box was blown apart and I could do anything I wanted. What would I do? And this is what I did. So I put a gym in there. I put a climbing wall in there. And it's just a fantastic dream for me. And then another portion of the shop, I put like this incredible idea of a room where I could go and be quiet, and that would really reflect. I could really spend time in reflection. And then I drew another section of the shop where I could partition off a place where I could spend time with my colleagues and friends, just dreaming, masterminding in that room. And then another portion, I drew a place where I could be like I'm really into riding bikes. So where can I work on my bikes and get those things tuned up? And so there's a place for that. Another place I really thought would be really good for me was a sauna. So I drew in a spot for a sauna, and I looked at this plan, at this sketch, and I thought, wow, if that could happen out in that shop, it would go from totally like messy and negative and gross and to something that's like totally spectacular. And I just kind of drew that out in my journal. And every once in a while, my journal, I would be thumbing through my journal and I would look and I'd think, wow, that would be kind of cool. So then I thought, the next thing was, how much would this cost me to do this? So I sketched out a brief sketch of how much it would cost me. And then one thing led to another. And pretty soon, after 1 year, I was able to create this incredible facility that was turned into this an amazing thing in my life. And now I have a place where I go out. In fact, right now in this room right here, I wish I could scan this camera around. This room that I'm in right now is my office. And it's a place where I come to be quiet. And you can look, the feel of this place is just amazing. And so I think that's my story about creative imagination, how it worked for me in an amazing way. And so I just want to encourage you to spend time in quietness and in inspiration and gaining these insights that will happen to you with creative imagination. Now, I want to start with two types of imagination. One is what Napoleon Hill called synthetic imagination, and the other is creative imagination. And if you've gone this far, you've heard those terms, and I want to talk to you about kind of the difference between those just for a quick minute. And the people that exemplify those two concepts for me, especially for synthetic imagination, is Elon Musk. Now, Elon Musk is this just creative genius, and right now he's working on solar stuff, and he's working on space exploration, and I think what he does in his mind is he gets this vision. I think he has a vision of getting to Mars and doing his settlement on Mars. But right now he's, at this current time in 2020, he's into doing privatizing and shooting these spaceships up into space and getting plugged into NASA and doing incredible things. And I think with the synthetic imagination, he's taking existing concepts and he's stacking them one on top of another, and he's creating these amazing things where all of a sudden, instead of it's NASA being into space exploration, now it's Elon Musk doing these incredible things through putting together pieces, and it's like a jigsaw puzzle, putting pieces together and creating this amazing thing that he's created through, so that he can go into space. And I think that's what, when we think of creative imagination or synthetic imagination, I think Elon Musk exemplifies that concept of taking pieces, putting them together, and creating an incredible thing that we all just go, wow, how did that guy do that? And you have that same power in your life to do that same thing. Now, so that's synthetic imagination, where you're taking pieces, putting it together, and creating something amazing. Creative synthetic imagination, that was synthetic, get my words twisted up here. Creative imagination is actually taking something like brand new that has never been in existence before. And the person that I think of when I think of creative imagination is a guy named Steve Jobs. Now, when I was younger, I started off listening to music on a phonograph. I mean, you put this plastic disc in this machine, put this needle thing on it, and this music would come out of it. It's pretty amazing. And now we have all of our information on like one device. I'm actually recording this program right on my telephone. It's amazing. One device that does all these things. And back when I was thinking of music, and we had these phonographs, and then it became 8 tracks, and then it became cassettes, and then pretty soon we had CDs. But during that time, I would never have imagined that you could take thousands, literally thousands of songs and put them on one device and have it in one spot. And I think Steve Jobs took this idea of how do you create this one device that you can put on in all this information. Now, it's not just music, it's books, it's GPS tracking, it's the World Wide Web, all on one device. And I think that he was able to, through creative imagination, create this amazing device nobody knew anything about that kind of a device. And he was able to take that creative energy, creative imagination, and make something that did not exist before. And now we have these iPhones and these powerful devices in our pockets. And sometimes we have them right on our wrist. And it's amazing where things are going. But I think those are the two differences. So synthetic is taking some things that are already in existence, putting them together, creating something amazing. Whereas creative imagination is really about creating something totally new that just blows our mind. So I just wanted to clarify those two things, synthetic and creative imagination. The next thing I want to talk to you about is creative and synthetic imagination doesn't stand on its own. In order to have a strong creative or synthetic imagination, it has to tie in with these other principles of success. And some of the things that I think about when I think about some of the other things that you have to do in order to really make imagination work for you is going the extra mile. You can't just do a little bit. You can't just be normal. You can't just do what other people are doing. You have to go the extra mile. So it's critical to keep that in mind. Another thing is enthusiasm. And I like me, I'm just enthusiastic about this topic because it's so powerful. But you have to have enthusiasm. You can't let yourself get discouraged and stay in that place of discouragement. You have to go on and be enthusiastic. And the other thing is, another law I think that really incorporates and ties in well with this whole idea of imagination is personal initiative. You have to do more. You have to take the initiative. You can't wait for other people to do the things that you know that you need to do. So those are some things. You can't just depend on this whole idea of imagination. Just sit in a room and imagine things. You have to go the extra mile. You have to have a major definite purpose is another good one. You have to have enthusiasm. You have to have personal initiative. And those things are so important. So we talked about the two types of imagination. We've talked about how it depends on some other laws of success. Now I want to dive into how do you get this personal imagination thing going in your life. And here it is. Here's what you have to do. You have to spend time in quiet contemplation. If you really want to have this imagination thing come to life in your life, it takes time, and it takes you spending time just in quietness and let this stuff come to you. I have a thing that I do every morning religiously. I call it my razor's edge. So every morning I spend time in affirmations. I spend time in listening to some kind of an inspirational video or audio book, and just a few minutes of it, just a snippet of it. I spend time in prayer. I spend time just quieting myself, and I found that mornings are the best time to do that. But I spend an hour, 45 minutes to an hour doing this every day, and it's so critical just to sit and just be quiet. And that's what I've found, that's where all these things, these ideas come to me, is during that time of quiet contemplation. And I'm telling you, if you want to find success in your life, spend time in quietness. And if you want to have crazy success in your life, if you want to really see those dreams I know that you have in your heart and in your mind, if you really want to see those things come true in a vibrant way, spend mega time in quiet. Do these quiet times 3 times a day, once an hour. I mean, if you want to turbocharge your life, this is where that power is going to come from. And so I would encourage you to spend time in the quiet. So we've talked about the 2 different types of imagination, synthetic and creative. We've talked about how it ties in with these other laws of success, and it's not a standalone thing. You have to incorporate these other things into your life. It raises like water in a dam, and you have to incorporate other things in your life as well. And then we just talked about the importance of just spending time in the quiet every day. Now I want to talk to you about some paradigm paralysis. And these are things that Napoleon Hill talks about in his writings about fear and how important it is to stay away from fear and anxiety. Here's some things that will paralyze you if you don't get away from these things. And we've all heard people say these things. And I know that one thing I know about you, because you've taken this course, that you are one of those people who have these like a big, massive dream for your life and a way to change our country and our society and our world and the people around you and maybe just yourself. That's a big deal. And these are the things that will get you down. And I really encourage you to make sure you have a pencil and write these things down. These are just a few words each. I think I have 7 or 8 of them. But write these things down. And when you hear yourself moving in this direction, or you hear somebody else pulling you in this direction, say, stop. That is not for me. I am not going there. And this is something that I'm not going to do. So here's some things that you will probably hear as a great leader in your sphere of influence. Here's the first one. We tried that already. Do not listen to that. Do not listen to that. Edison, remember Edison? He tried thousands and thousands of things before he got the things focused in on the things that were critical for him and successful for him, his inventions. Do not listen to that. We tried that already. It just makes me want to scream. Yeah, we tried it, and we need to try it 1,000 more times. All right? You got to get that going. All right, here's another one. The timing is all wrong. Right now, this is 2020, crazy year. We're going through this whole COVID-19 thing. I hear this all the time. Timing is all wrong. No! Now is the time! Do it now! Now! Do not listen to something that just says the timing is all wrong, okay? Ignore that. The time is now. Do it now. Here's another one. There's only one right answer. No, there isn't. There's lots of right answers. Spend time in the quiet. Use your imagination. Find your answer. Here's another one. We've never done it that way before. How many of you heard that one? Do not listen to that. We've never done it that way. Well, maybe you did do it before, but maybe you didn't have the right people. Maybe it wasn't the exact time to do it that way. Maybe whatever. Always do it now, and do it again and again and again until you have success. Here's another one. It's just like makes me so angry. It's not compatible with our current system, or it's against company policy. Break the mold. Get out of those paradigms. Bust those out. Get out of the box. Do it again. Here's another one. This really bugs me. We're not ready for that yet. Do it now. Do it today. Do it with what you have. If you don't start on this path to success, because what happens is when you take a step in the direction and open up a door, what happens is it opens up a whole bunch more opportunities. And if you don't open up the first door, you never see that next door. Open that first up and you're always ready to go. Here's another one. That is not possible. I can't stand it when people tell me that. It's like fighting words for me. It is possible, and you can do it. Here's another one. That's just cost too much. My shop, when I looked around, it was going to cost me thousands and thousands of dollars. And I thought I did have that thought. This just costs too much. There's no way I can do it. But I kept coming back to it. And my desire for it started getting higher and higher and higher. And I just had this, I thought, I got to do this. I got to find a way. And I found a way to do it. It does cost money, but money will come to you. So avoid these paradigm paralysis thoughts and ideas. You're going to have them. Other people are going to have them and bring them to you. Shun them. Don't let them, those things, those paradigm paralysis things, stop you from doing what you know you need to do. All right? All right, so we talked about synthetic and creative imagination. We've talked about how it ties in with some of the other laws of success. We've talked about diving in and developing a quiet time in your life every day, more than once a day. Do it a bunch. The more you spend in quiet time, the more success and fortune you will experience. We just talked about paradigm paralysis, and I hope you wrote those down. Here's another one. I just want you to like get this into your life, into the grain of your life. And here it is. Write this down. Make sure you're writing this down. Ideas are the beginning point of all fortune. Let me repeat that. Ideas are the beginning point of all fortune. Now I have this friend here in my local area. His name is Andrew Fields. You can look him up. He started this company. He had this dream to do this. This was years ago, to have this online printing company. And at the time he started, it was kind of a crazy idea because, how do you go to, print something off if you need a print, like a booklet or a flyer or whatever? How do you do that other than just bring it to Instaprints or best, whatever, your local print shop and have them print? How do you do that? But he had in his mind this idea of, let's get an online printing company going. And he has a company now called Printing for Less right here in rural Montana. He hires thousands of people. It's like this amazing company. But at the beginning, it was a crazy idea. And when he first started out, it was like kind of an unusual thing. But he had this dream. He had a creative thought, and it became a passion for him. And he started out, he opened up one door, and then he opened up another door, and then another door. And pretty soon people started coming to him, and he formed this amazing team. And now he has like this incredible company that's just booming. It's busting at the seams, and they're getting into other areas of technology and other areas of printing. And the things that he's doing is just incredible. And you can do that too. And you can be that type of person. So Google him sometime. Andrew Fields, Printing for Less. It's an incredible rags to riches success story. An amazing guy. Just genuine nice guy. And does a lot for our local community here in rural Montana. But check him out. But my thought there, and what I want you to remember from that story is that ideas are the beginning point of all fortunes. Now this guy has a multi-million-dollar complex, and I don't know how wealthy the guy is, but he's very wealthy, and he's doing very well for himself and for our community. He's got thousands of people working for him, and it's just an inspiring story. So check that out. So we've talked about creative and synthetic imagination. We talked about how it ties into some laws of success. We talked about how important it is for you to get into a mode every day of just being quiet and processing your life and getting into that quietness. We talked about paradigm paralysis. We talked about the ideas are the beginning point of all fortune. Now I want to talk to you about how critical it is for our society and for you in particular, for you, yes you in particular, to get into this mode of creative imagination. And I want you to think about some areas in our society who are it's just crying out for people to step up, people like you to step up with creative imagination. And our world is just crying out for it. And here's some thoughts I want to throw out there for you to digest and think about. And I hope what happens here is that you'll get an idea and a thought and grab onto it and think, yeah, I could do that. I could, and you can. Think about local government and how so how bad and how much they need people with creative imagination in that realm. Just think of just one person in a local or a city government that would come in there with some creative thoughts and some creative ideas, and how powerful that can be. Here's another one, our education system. Wow, just think if somebody like you who has a dream about helping educate kids and adults, and how impactful you could be in the area of education. How about health industry? We're going through this crazy COVID stuff right now. Just think if we had people in our society who could step up with some creative ideas on health and how impactful you could be in the area of health if you came in with some creative, imaginative ideas that could solve some of these problems. How about climate change? Things are going on like at fast pace right now with climate change. And just think if you're engaged with that whole arena, what you could do with some creative ideas. I just heard this young kid develop some kind of like a machine that could go out in the ocean, and it just like gulps this, these big sheets of plastic pollution that we have up in our ocean, and it gulps it up and recycles it. And just, man, what a fantastic idea. What if you could create a machine that would like filter the air or something like that, or what? I don't understand all that stuff, but you might. And your ideas might change the world. So just some ideas to throw out there. So just keep those in mind. Keep your ideas and spend time in quiet contemplation, because you can be the person that can change the world with your ideas and your passion and your enthusiasm. And a couple last things I want to talk to you guys about is, one is, as you're going through this process of developing your own plan and your own thoughts and your own ideas to change the world, here's one thing I wanted to leave you with, is that the ladder of success is never crowded at the top. And sometimes we think that everybody, that's where everybody is. But really, when you get to the top of success in life, and I've experienced this myself, it does get kind of lonely up there, because it's not really that crowded. There's a guy named Timothy Ferriss who wrote a book called The 4-Hour Workweek, and he put it this way. He said, it's lonely at the top. 99% of people in the world are convinced that they are incapable of achieving great things. So they aim for mediocrity. The level of competition is thus fiercest for the realistic goal. Do you hear that? Not creative goals, not the crazy goals that you have, but the competition is most fierce for the realistic goal, the 9-to-5er. Let me finish up his quote before I comment on it. But the level of competition is thus fiercest for the realistic goal, paradoxically making them the most time and energy consuming. So what he's saying there is the bulk of people are fighting over those 9-to-5 jobs that get, $50,000 to $70,000 of income, and that are secure and that will keep them going. But you know what? You don't have that. Or you might, I don't know if you do or not, but you have a big dream. And when you put yourself above that 99% of people and become engaged in higher levels of thinking, it does get lonely at the top, and you need to prepare yourself for that. But there are people that are ahead of you and who've done that, and you can get involved with those people. And people in the Napoleon Hill Foundation are amazing mastermind groups for that. So So I hope today this lesson has been, just gets you fired up about spending time in imagination and plugging them into the other laws of success. And knowing that there's more than just one type of imagination. You can take existing pieces of information like Elon Musk has done and shot people up into outer space. Amazing. You can do that. You can do that. Or you can be more like Steve Jobs and use total creative imagination and develop something new and amazing. And I want you to remember, avoid those paradigm paralysis thoughts. Don't let people tell you, we've tried it before. There's only one right answer. It's not compatible with our current system. We're not ready for that. That's impossible. We don't have enough money. Don't listen to those people. Build your dream. Open up the next door. These things will come to you. So I want to close with those thoughts for you and encourage you to really dive into this law of success. And remember this as a final thought. If you want to find success in life, spend time in the quiet. But if you want to find crazy, big success, spend lots of time in the quiet. This is Dave Scadam. It's been a pleasure spending this time with you, and I wish you the best for your success.